Welcome back in, guys. Another You Ain't Lying after party. Not as happy as last week, right? Got a win last week. Not today. FC Cincinnati drops points at home, loses 1-0 to the best team in the East, New England Revolution, on a goal from Buska. DP9, whatever, right? He's a DP9. He's got 4 goals in 8 matches and 6 starts. He was active all match. Kind of saw that one coming a little bit. Overall, for me, content, not happy, not disappointed, content because there is some more progress there. We'll dive deeper into that here in a little while. But Steven, we were both there. You were like a stone's throw away from me. Your analysis on the first half. How did you think that the first half went?
Well, I do appreciate being live. I like looking over to my right and seeing you. I don't know how many times did we have non-vocal communication with each other?
Yeah,
at least half a dozen. We kind of just look at each other or point at each other. I was at halftime 0-0. We had several good chances in the first half. Locadia was on today, and he was primed for a goal, and Turner was up for it. And so there was great combination between Lucho and Locadia. We had several opportunities in that first half that Turner made quality saves. On the flip side, we obviously conceded possession, and the Revs had opportunities too, but I thought Vermeer was equally up to it in the first half. So, 0-0 when we got together for the You Ain't Lying meet and greet at halftime, I think we were quite content. We were like feeling good that we're in the match. We're at home. The Bailey sounded great. It felt right. It felt like we were going to get a result, to be honest, at halftime. And so I was content going in at halftime. And, it could have gone 1-0, 1-1 or 0-1 at halftime, but 0-0 felt right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you get outshot by 15 and you're going at halftime 0-0, you're probably happy.
You're probably happy. Yeah.
FC Cincinnati had their chances as well. I mean, shots on target, I only think were what, like
we were 4-2 or something like that.
4-2, something. Yeah. So it wasn't like, I mean, the Reds had some chances that, they had some near misses, but it wasn't, the possession looked really bad. The shots looked really bad. To me, the first half wasn't as bad as stats would tell you it was. It still wasn't great. Oh man, Locadia looks so in the mood. I noticed him pregame. I pointed him out to my wife as we were walking to our seats, and they're showing the pregame warm up, and Locadia is smiling. He's happy. He is like the happiest he had been in a long time, it seemed. And then I watched him in warm ups, and he was very active and very into it. And it's like, okay. And then he comes out early, he gets those 2 chances, and he looked like the guy they wanted to see, when they signed him. So I it's disappointing not to see him score, but on the flip side, he was just so good. Brenner's still trying to find his way, and I think he eventually will. They've got to figure out the best spots to put him. He did have a chance or two. Lucho, and Loca play really well off of each other.
They really do. And it's a nice combination, those 3.
Yes. Really and that'll grow more when that'll grow even more when they get more familiar with each other. Again, Zhao with the service. He had 1 ball early that was serviced decently to Locadia, who just, I don't know, it was a little behind him. He tried to reach back. Nothing he can do. But there was one, and this was the end of the first half. I think this was like the 45th minute. And there's so many guys charging the 6-yard box, and Zhao drags it back to the top of the 18. And it's like, just put the ball in face of goal and see what happens.
Well, and when he did that, he caught everyone forward, as you're talking about. I mean, everyone was in the box, crashed in the box, and he pulled it back, and I think it hit the back heel of one of the defenders. But you're right, there was nobody there, right?
No. And it's funny, like the Revs think that Kessler like somehow shut down Locadia, which is hilarious because Kessler didn't shut down Locadia until they were double and triple marking him. and it's like, no, Kessler couldn't handle him. To be honest with you, like Locadia could have had 2 goals because he outworked Kessler. He put Kessler on his heels.
Well, he uses his body incredibly well. I mean,
yes.
we talked about that previously, but his back to goal, using his body, being able to put himself in a position to get a shot off. That was classic Locadia today, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what you want to see from him. Like you're saying, he plays so well off of Brenner, off of Lucho. I thought Lucho and he had a couple of great combinations. So to me, having those 2 up front, Brenner and Locadia, and you called it during our podcast in the week. If we're going to play a 3-5-2 and the 3 center backs and our 3 set center back gives us calm and gives us stability, let's go with Loca and Brenner up front, because those are our 2 alpha dogs up front, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want all 3 of your DPs on the field as much as possible, and they all played 90 minutes. And frankly, they all look good. I mean, Brenner not as much as Lucho and Loca, but I mean, he had his moments again. He's gonna figure it out, guys. If he can score at Sao Paulo, he can score here. It's just a matter of time. But Loca also looked faster today. I don't know what it was. He looked pacier. He just looked the part. He looked like the Jurgen Locadia we expected to get last year. Moving on to the second half, we outshot them, had more shots on target. It felt like the possession was a little more even. And then, man, I've watched a lot of MLS games. I've watched a lot of soccer games. I've watched a lot of FC Cincinnati games. This might be, and I've watched games officiated by Guido Gonzalez. This might, and this is not even exaggerating. This might be the worst refereed game I've ever seen. He had 0 control over the match. He was inconsistent in his calls. He would call some 50-50 balls in the air a foul. He would call others not. And essentially they were the same type of play. I don't know how many times João or Cruz got pulled down from the back. Just obviously. It was like the Revs trying to commit a tactical foul, and he didn't call it. And it's like, okay. I don't know, man. He gives a yellow to Buchanan in the first half.
Don't get me started on Taj.
And there was probably 4 other fouls he could have got a second yellow on, and he didn't call it. The foul, and I want to explain this. The foul on Lucho that got Kessler carded should have been a red. Kessler's the last defender. Lucho has him beat with the ball in the air.
Yep.
Kessler intentionally grabs him and pulls him back. Essentially, when you referee soccer, you're taught if an offensive player beats the last defender, it does not matter. If you pull him down, that's considered a clear and obvious scoring chance. You've taken it away. It's an automatic red, and you're off the pitch. The yellow was very lucky for Kessler. Very lucky. That's a red all day, every day. But they didn't get it. And frankly, the referee's not the reason they lost. And that's just what I'm trying to say. But it did not help.
Well, and I'll say this, Travis, you're right. That it's not the reason we lost, but you can just watch the fouls after. I mean, as soon as we let the ball go, there was a foul, clipping our heels, hitting the back of the thigh.
Yep.
There were half a dozen times where a foul was committed as we're releasing the ball. He doesn't call any of them.
Nope.
And they smartly did that because it took us off our game. You can watch, and I think Adam, Barron's got a question, and we'll get to it about, how Lucho played, and we'll get to that in a minute. They frustrated us in those and not getting any calls. You could see Lucho's hands going up all the time. And so, it didn't, the ref didn't win New England the game, but it certainly took our guys off. It really just kind of upset them. You could see that. And
yeah,
you're absolutely correct. The last defender, and I guess they did do a VAR on that play. I don't know. I think I saw somewhere on Twitter that they did do a VAR on Kessler's foul on Lucho. It's a red all day long. It's the last defender. He's open. He's on goal. It's got to be a red.
Yep. Because he has, I mean, even if you say he's not the last defender and maybe there's another defender, it's even, right? Lucho has him beat.
He's got him beat.
He's in front of
Right.
Kessler.
Right.
It's a clear and obvious scoring chance. It's a red. It's a red in almost every other match in every other league, but this referee didn't see fit. I didn't see it go to VAR. Maybe it did. And yeah, Kessler can eat shit. Like Kessler is a bitch. Like, can we just talk about it? Like, you guys saw my tweet. There's a couple of people out there who I've spoken with who say that the reason Locadia was so upset is because Kessler threw out a racial slur at him. I don't have verification on that. There's no video of it, but the mere thought of it is worth mentioning. Locadia does not get upset normally. He's a very positive guy on the pitch. If he gets fired up, it's positive. He doesn't really let things go underneath his skin, and he was highly irritated. You could clearly see him explaining something to the referee, getting in Kessler's face, talking to the referee again, getting in Kessler's face again. There was something there that occurred. And then Kessler, does the yellow card, red card, could have been thing. Then he fakes a head injury.
Oh.
And then they win the match, and he is still bitching at the referee. Bro, you won the match. Shut up and get off the pitch. He did the same thing in the Gold Cup with his mouth and his play. Shut up and go to the dressing room. You won the match. I don't know that I've personally been at a match where a player his team has won and he stays on the pitch to bitch and moan at a referee. A referee, by the way, that gave you the majority of the calls, right? Like, your team got the favor of the whistle. Just leave the field. You look like a fucking idiot. Like, just leave the field.
Yeah.
So, is what it is. When it comes to go ahead.
No, go ahead, Travis.
When it comes to the second half, like, you got to put away the chances. I will say last year before, it's probably a 4-0 loss. This year, I mean, it's 1-0 against the best team in the East. Like, I'm getting a little bit tired of the moral victories. This will probably be my last one. I will say, if they don't come out on the 19th and beat Colorado at home, I'm going to start criticizing heavily, because I don't care about Colorado's record. They should beat Colorado. Then they've got 3 away matches they can get points from, and wins in 2 or 3 of them.
What is it? At Chicago, at Toronto, at Houston? Yeah, those are the 3.
That could be 7 points. That could be, I would expect at the very least 8 points in the 4 matches coming out. If they don't get there, that's 2 wins and 2 draws. They shouldn't lose to any of those 4 teams going into the Columbus match.
You're bullish. I would take 6 points in those 4 just to
see. Toronto's a dumpster fire right now. Chicago's worse than we are.
Right. Those 2 are the wins I want. And I maybe say 7 points. So the tie, maybe, I don't know. Colorado's better than you're giving them, I think, some credit. They're pretty good.
They're okay. I've watched them a little bit. I'm not impressed. I think their schedule has a little bit to do with how well they're doing right now in standings.
Yeah.
They've got to have some momentum going to Columbus. I would say if they don't get 7 or 8 points going into Columbus, I don't know what you do at this point.
Yeah. The point is this: is you're right. We're tired of moral victories. We really are. But the consistency, or what I would say over the last 3 matches, we've seen consistency. We've seen progress. We've seen how this team is starting to coalesce and have cohesion. The 3 center back set works for this team. We've talked about it ad nauseum. It works for this team. There should be no more questions for the foreseeable future. Maybe at Chicago we change up formation because they're so weak, but the 3 center back set with Stanko and Cameron and Viacia just works. And Vermeer, we'll get to that. I don't want to hear any more stuff about Vermeer shouldn't be on this team. You got to be kidding me. But you're right. We have to finish those chances. We had what? I would say 4 or 5 quality opportunities that you have to finish one of those. And that's why you lose, right? Mm-hmm. They get the free kick and you have Carlos Heel and Buxa, who's coming over the top of Jow. Moderator may have left his mark or tried to stay at the post. We could debate that, but they convert on the chance. And that's the difference between a team that's going to be in the playoffs and the MLS or us, is when you've got 4 or 5 quality chances, you have to convert 1 or 2 of them, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Lacadia's 2. Barrial had 1.
Yeah.
Vasquez had 1. Cameron's header. I mean, you'd like to finish one of them. They should have come out with points. That's why I'm not happy. I'm just content. If they'd have come out with a point, I'm happy, right? Like, they weathered a storm. If they come out with a point, they, draw the best team in the East, which that matters, guys. Like, I see a lot of negative people on Twitter right now, like, oh, no more moral victories. They should have beat the Revolution at home. And it's like,
no.
Part of me thinks we need to adjust our expectations a bit. Like, I know we have a top 5 payroll. That's not out of design. That's a necessity, and that's recent. The Revolution are a cohesive unit, mostly made up of guys that started for them last year. Are they more talented on paper? Probably not. I mean, if we're going position by position, probably not.
It's close though, because Carlos Heel is very, very good, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
Carlos Heel gets an edge over Acosta, even though how much I love Lucho. Turner gets an edge over Vermeer. Those 2 guys made a difference today, right?
Yeah, I would take our center backs over theirs.
Yeah, I would.
I would take our strikers. I would take their midfield. I would take our left back, and I would take their right back. So it's a pretty even thing, right? But we need to adjust our expectations. Essentially, that would be like us saying we lost 1-0 to the Crew and we should have beaten them. That's essentially where we're at currently with that argument. For man of the match, I say ready for both, but we are going to run that.
We'll give our reasons too. We want to get to questions. We'll give our reasonings, but yeah, the poll, we want to get you guys engaged on the poll and help us decide this one,
Absolutely.
Mano a mano. Who's the man of the match?
There you go. So, Adam, God, why do you guys got to put your last names? Weigand?
Weigand.
We're going to go with that. How would you rate?
It's the Baron. It's Baron.
Okay, Baron. How would you rate Lucho today? I did not think he had the influence on the game we need him to have to win. Lucho was very bright in moments. There was one in the second half where he backheeled it over himself, touched it around someone in the bottom. I thought he was going to score it. I told my wife if he would have scored that, I'd have ran on the field naked. He had his bright spots. I do think he wasn't on the ball as much as we would like him to be, but I think that was more of just kind of circumstance. The last couple matches, he's been on the ball a ton. It's just this match they didn't have a lot of possession. And when they did, they were being pressed pretty well, and they had to kind of make their moves quickly. Lucho was on and off the ball a lot of one touching. I do agree he didn't have the influence we'd like. I don't think he played poorly, but I would like to see him on the ball more. Steven, what do you think about Lucho?
Yeah, and you know how much I love Lucho. Lucho is he's dynamic. He was dynamic at times, just like you said. I thought there was some great combination play. Where I'll be honest, I got a little frustrated with his, he was frustrated because the lack of the lack of the calls that he thought he was getting nicked or knacked or whatever. You got to give up on that. You can't keep just stopping and putting your hands up in the air. You got to keep playing. There was one time, in fact, there was a play on that the ref called and said, okay, New England play on, and he could have stopped the play, and we stopped, and Lucho did too. And so we've got to stop expecting the calls. You got to play to the whistle. We haven't earned it yet. And I was saying that to my wife as we're leaving the stadium. I said, we still have got to earn our stripes in the MLS. And unfortunately, that's with the refs, that's with little calls, that's with this or that, it's with luck, whatever you want to call it. We still got to earn our stripes. And so I thought Lucho at times, I think you put it perfectly, Travis, at times he was very bright.
Yep.
He had spots that he shows, again, his quality. For some reason, I thought he slipped a lot today. Like he wasn't comfortable with the turf today. I don't know what it was, maybe his cleats or something. I thought between him slipping a lot and him expecting calls too much, it took him off. It took him off his A game. I thought he had a B game.
Yeah.
I would give Lucho today.
Yeah, I was going to say like C plus, B minus. He wasn't
Yeah,
bad.
B minus
Dude,
is perfect. It's
I mean,
exactly
if
what
we're looking at the match, like no one was really bad, right? Zhao, he
he was
just is
good
what
at
he
times,
is.
but he was
He was
very good
good
at
at
times, very
times.
confident at times. Yeah,
Yeah, he's so confident going forward. Like he
yeah,
can be a good wing back. He just needs to figure out positional defense because 1v1 he's growing as a defender, right? We see it. 1v1 he's definitely growing. It's all about positional on set pieces and things like that. His final ball has got to get better. It just does. You know, you got Licati and Brenner in there. They're both decent on crosses. It's just got to be better.
I think though that with Zhao too, he's still thinking too much
Yeah,
because he's new to the position. You can see it at times. He's like he could beat people on the dribble. He can,
yep,
and he doesn't sometimes because he's thinking about, okay, what am I going to do? And so he overthinks at times, and that's where I think he gets caught. Is he goes back, he plays it safely back sometimes. He drops the ball where he could beat on the dribble. To your point, I mean, he just that final third, he's overthinking how he's going to deliver the cross or where it's going to, I don't know what it is, but it's just, I feel like it's still learning that position. Stom talked about it, in his presser a couple of days ago. And
yeah.
it's going to take time because he's not a natural right back or right wing back. He's a winger. And he's going to have to get to the point where he's not thinking and playing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the biggest hole in his game right now might be his final ball, right?
Absolutely.
His play in the final third. It's just got to get better. Like, I feel like they figured out the midfield to a point. They might still be another midfielder away, but for me, unless he gets a lot better, a right wing back is numero uno on the need list. Kubo and Cruz did well today. They could have done better. I think they got bossed in the midfield just a little bit at times today. You saw Lacadia tracking back to defend and doing it well. You saw Brenner doing it at times to kind of help out that midfield. I still think they're a midfielder away, but for right now, right wing back, unless Zhao figures out the final ball. I mean, teams are, you start to see it, right? Teams are starting to shade the midfield and their back four to Matarrita's side.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't see Matarrita much on the ball going forward today.
No.
They're going to force Zhao to do it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Matarrita has 3 assists already. He's maybe the best left wing back in the league coming over from New York City FC. That was not a secret when we got him. But the other wing back has to do it, or teams are just going to say, we're just going to take Matarrita away. You're going to have to go down the right side, and you're going to have to figure it out. So for me, Zhao's got to really improve that final ball. And I don't know that he can't do it. Maybe he's just been unlucky for a year. I don't know. But it's like we spoke about leading into the season. You know, we hoped that Zhao spent the offseason working on that final ball. And right now it just doesn't seem like he has. But moving on, PJ Lake. What's up, PJ? Curious, did you think Stanko's was red worthy? No. I mean, that's a head-on challenge. I mean, he went to ground, but it's they're going at each other. He was just late on the ball. It didn't look like studs up from where I was sitting. I didn't see very many replays where it was studs up. The difference between the Kessler one and the Stanko one is Lucho is past Kessler at that point. Stanko is challenging Busca before Busca is past him, right? They're essentially going for a 50-50 ball. And that was actually a bad pass from Lacadia. So that's kind of the difference there for me. And then somebody asked a question in the YouTube
as you're
chat.
looking for that, I'm just going to come back to Kubo real quick because I've been highly critical of Kubo, especially at the midfield. I thought there were times Kubo made 2 very, very good recoveries. He's behind the player and he swiftly and smartly makes the slide tackle and comes up with the ball each time. And they were breaking on both those plays. And so I give props up to Kubo. I think him and Cruz together have been a nice combo. I agree. They got bossed at times. I think, you had Polster and Tommy Mack are just quality journeymen in MLS. Those are the kind of American domestics guys you want. and combining those guys with Heel, it's just they're a quality midfield, and so it's difficult to compete against them. But I thought Kubo had a decent game. There were times when I wish he would have played quicker, I think, on the ball or made a release quicker. I think it's that still the chemistry building of, looking for what Brenner wants on the break or what Locadia may want on the break. So there's some of that chemistry still because these guys haven't played that much together. We still have got 6 or 7 starters in this team that just have played 2 or 3 games together.
Yeah.
And I don't want to continue to give them another game and get them another game, but chemistry does matter. And when you're playing with each other, you made the point already. The Revs are pretty much the same team as last year. These guys were, they were a semifinal team in the East last year, and they got to the playoffs without Heel even being on the pitch for most of the year. Heel came back and they got to, they're a quality team. Yeah. They're solid. They don't have many weaknesses. And when you've got a player like Heel and Buxa or Bow up top, but they've been Bowen at the end and Turner at the back, it's going to be tough to beat them. To see what I love is to see Bruce Arena so pissed off. That means that you're actually making it uncomfortable for them to play. And so to me, that means that we're in the game when Arena's doing his antics too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Arena. I hate that guy. I think he's so overblown as a coach. I'm sorry. I don't know.
He knows how to win, Travis. In MLS, he knows how to win.
He does. See, okay. So let's just go down this road really quickly.
Yeah.
I think he knows how to get the players necessary to win.
Well, yeah.
Arena has never. So to me, great managers can take lesser talent and make them into a great team, right? Jesse Marsh has done that. Bruce Arena has never done that. Bruce Arena has historically struggled with teams that don't have stars on them. I think, we look at the Revs before they fired Friedel, right? And they were a dumpster fire.
They were horrible with Friedel. Friedel was just not good, right?
But the roster wasn't the problem. Friedel was the problem.
Friedel was the problem, right?
The roster really hasn't. I mean, it's changed, but it's not what you would think the difference between the Revs then and now would be. You would think, oh my God, they got rid of 18 guys. No, they had good players. They just need a decent manager. Arena man. Right. Like Brett just said in the chat, can't beat Trinidad and Tobago. I'm sorry. You're not a great manager to me. I'm sorry.
Well, but I'm not talking the international stuff. I'm talking MLS.
Yeah, but I still think
look at his record at MLS and tell me he doesn't know how to win MLS games. He knows how to. I don't disagree. He needs to have a roster, and he came into a team that had 9/10 of the parts and was able to get the other parts, but. The dude, he's got 360 wins in 697 matches.
Yeah.
He knows how to win.
He does. I think he's overrated. I think tactically he's a moron.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not debating you on that. I'm just saying he knows how to win.
Yeah, I think he gets more credit than he deserves. The winning is fine, but fucking hate that guy.
Results matter, right?
And the only thing that matters is Jeff Cameron agrees with me. So that's all that matters. Which my wife
I didn't say he wasn't a but yeah.
My wife was so happy that in the second half she got to watch Jeff Cameron.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all the wives kind of
he's dapper. I mean, he's handsome. I mean, he's a good looking dude. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So the question I saw in chat was from Brett, and it was, is Acosta taking too many free kicks, and should we have Monterita on them more? From what it looks like, the plan is a distribution type free kick Monterita is going to take. If it's go for net, it's going to be Acosta. And I think that makes sense. Monterita is a better free kick taker on an in swinger as a left-footed guy. Acosta is known for free kick goals, especially with DC United. So it makes some sense. That one that Acosta took, I think it was a little far out, right? It's about 35 to 40 yards out. That's a rough one to take, unless you're Lionel Messi. That's a distribution ball. almost like what we saw in the first ever home match for them against Portland in 2019. The little flick over to Kendall Waston. That's the type of ball you want to see there. I didn't agree with that. I remember told my wife it was just too far out. It's too far out to get that kind of pace, to get it up and down, and beat a keeper like Turner. It's too far out. One thing I do want to point out is Viacia. He did struggle to begin with, but man, is he good. Like he turned it around. Him and Cameron, we gave up a goal on a set piece, whatever. Outside of that, I mean, yeah, they had some chances, but have we ever been comfortable in the life of FC Cincinnati, not just MLS? Steven, have you ever been more comfortable with two center backs than you are right now?
No. Again, that's why it's like the last 3 matches, I have felt like we're always in the game. And yes, we got to convert these chances. But to your point, there's now we have stability in the back. I don't feel like we're one mistake away, or
Yeah,
I just feel like we're in that match. And like today, you really thought we could have scored in the last 5 minutes of regulation or in the 5 minutes of stoppage time. It was almost a disappointment we didn't, because I was like, okay, we're gonna draw equal here, because we, the last 30 minutes we had most of the possession and most of the opportunities after they scored.
Yep.
After the 70th minute, we again showed the fight and the fire, and that's a lot to do because our center backs are strong enough, and I think in combination with Vermeer, it's solid back there. They're keeping us in games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we go back to it again, like we talked about last week. There's a couple times that Jeff Cameron's 1v1. And I wasn't nervous. I wasn't nervous.
I love what he just makes that. He just, guys coming down, he just kind of makes the stick, right? Bam.
Yep. Just steps in, clears it, wins a tackle like it's nothing. He's so organized. He organizes everyone around him. He made a couple mistakes. There was a couple times he needed the ball to get off his foot quicker, but he made the mistakes and then made up for them. Right. He didn't compound a mistake with another one. It was, shit, I gave the ball away. Let me track back. Let me win this tackle and we'll try it again. I really do think that center core there, that Vermeer, Cameron, Viacia core, that's solid. I don't know about Stanko right center back. You never know. Maybe Van der Werf takes over right center back and it's really good, right? Like he's played there before.
What I thought was interesting, though, especially I saw it in the second half, is Stanko was moving up to more of a 6 role at times.
Yeah, they definitely moved to a 4-3-3 there.
Right, and Zhao was kind of sliding back and almost more of a right back at times, right? Yep. And so you could kind of see that they were shifting a little bit in that second half. Yeah.
Yeah, and they played well out of the 4-3-3. So here's the $1 million question. Do they just completely scrap the 3-5-2 now because they played well the 4-3-3 and they didn't play so well in the 3-5-2 to start out the match? I mean, it's rough to not have Barrial on the pitch, right? Like he immediately came on and had an impact. Does that throw off chemistry with Locadia and Brenner and Lucho if you bring in another attacker? Does it create more? Do you give up defensively? Would we hate to see Stanko in a right back role and maybe not play him as a wing back and just allow Barrial to kind of run roughshod up and down the sideline? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I know me and Laurel, and I think you as well, Steven, we're kind of curious about maybe playing Barrial in that wing back role without making him play the back part of the wing back role, right? What Inter Milan do, where again, Darmian plays that left wing back and he'll drop to left back on defense. Hakimi plays right wing back, but it's more of a midfield role. He does not play defense. And there's a couple of questions here. And Ryan Morgan wants to know, where's Atanga fit? Can't imagine they spent that on him and don't plan to use him. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, I think with Atanga, I think it's into comfort at training and getting him integrated. And that's why I look at Viacia and give him credit for how quickly he seems to have been integrated. We saw it a little bit with Barrial last year. It's tough for some of these younger guys to come over and immediately adjust to being in the States, being with a new team. I think Atonga will get there. I mean, obviously they saw something in him. They spent the money for him.
Yeah.
Right now, I think it's partly of him being comfortable with his new setting and what he's doing in training, but he also has players in front of him. He's not going to displace Locadia right now. He's not going to displace Barrial right now. And so he's going to have to really start just continue to shine and shine and shine in training. And when we have the fixture congestion, which we're going to have, post July 7th, we're going to have 25 matches over a quick period of time. I mean, I think September and October, August, September, October, we've got a crap load of matches in 3 months. He'll get his playing time. So I'm not worried about that, but he's got people in front of him and he's just got to get his feet underneath him. And it's, I'm not worried about it because obviously they saw something in him. And I think I saw a tweet from him even yesterday. He seems positive. He seems like his head's in a good space. So I'm not too worried about Atonga at this point.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't know. I didn't really expect him to come over and make a giant impact anyway. Where he's coming from, he was going to be raw. He's going to need some work. Yeah, the pace is there. The raw ability is there, but the very little we saw of him so far, it's very rough around the edges, right? He needs work on ball skill. He needs work on timing, on passing, on tracking back defensively just a bit. He's not going to unseat Locadia. I tell you what, Locadia has 2 matches?
Well, let's talk about that, Travis. He's got 2 matches. What's going to happen? Is he definitely going back or is he playing himself into a?
Well, I mean, let's devil's advocate. What if he plays like he did today and against Montreal in the next 2 matches? What do you do? I mean,
so it's this. The easy one is if they can get a reduced fee and get him on TAM, we're all in agreement. What we're seeing is he should stay, right?
Yep.
So it comes down to what Gerard Nijkamp can do, right? If he can't get a reduced price at $8 million, I don't think you make the move, right?
No, and Brighton doesn't want him. Tel Aviv doesn't want him. And Brighton certainly doesn't want to try to sell him either. So FC Cincinnati's in a good spot here. I mean, they've got believe it or not, FC Cincinnati has the leverage in this certain situation. They can go to Brighton and say, this is what we're going to pay for him. And if that's not okay, then you can have him back. And Brighton didn't want him back to begin with. They've already adjusted the price twice to lower it. I imagine they don't have a ton of money to keep him on the books. And it's not going to be an easy sell, especially to try to even recoup anything. And Fly mentions this in the chat. Would Brighton be willing to cut ties? It could be one of those situations where Brighton could say, okay, well, we'll give him to you real, real cheap if you just take his salary from us and keep him. Now, caveat is you'd have to have Locadia take a pay cut. And this is another situation where FC Cincinnati has the leverage. If you're Locadia, you can fight that all day long. And then FC Cincinnati says, okay, well, bye. I mean, clearly he still wants to play or he'd have retired by now. And he wouldn't be as happy playing as he is currently. So
his salary today is 2.5. Total compensation is like 2.728. So we're talking about he has to cut that in half.
Yeah, he would cut it in half.
Right.
And I don't. If I'm Locadia, if you're Locadia, what do you do? Right? Do you just say, well, no, screw you. I can go make money somewhere else and play soccer, and then no one bite? I mean, Brighton doesn't want him. Tel Aviv didn't want him. Can't imagine him wanting to go play in South America. He's very comfortable in Europe. What do you do? I mean, he seems really happy here. He seems to really like the project, as Nijkamp calls it, and all the players seem to be calling it the project. If they come to you and say, listen, you can stay, you can have a starting role in this team, but you've got to cut your salary in half, man. Like it is what it is. We'll take, what we're saving on you. We'll go get another different DP and we'll make this team stronger. And let's do it like that.
Well, say he's not going to stay. Say that we can't get reduced price from Brighton. We can't get
Yeah.
him to agree. Are we wasting our time in these matches by playing him? Because if he's not going to be here after June 30th, what are we achieving? And that's where I guess I'll be honest with
Results,
you,
maybe.
I'm slightly confused in where we are with him because I would have expected if he was definitely not here, he wouldn't have started today, to be honest. And yes, results do matter and
Yeah.
they need to build confidence. But if there's not a stone's throw chance of him staying somehow, I'm not sure he starts today.
I think they've got some in their back pocket. I think I hate predicting things that I don't know about, right? Um, I know Pat, when we talked Wednesday, said that he didn't think he'd be here. I think he's here. I think he stays, and I think he's not a DP anymore. I think
we're going the Miami route, aren't we?
I think he's going to be a TAM player. I really do. Or if he's still a DP, he can be easily bought down in the summer during the summer window.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, he's going to take a pay cut. They're going to get him maybe close to free from Brighton, and they're going to work that out. And then they can bring in a DP in the summer at a prorated cost, maybe a midfielder, maybe it's a right wing back. I wouldn't hate the idea of DeAndre Yedlin. No, especially in this system.
Seeing a lot of comments on Loca about the whole, is there a start or minutes clause? I think Laurel put that out there potentially that may be in the equation. We just don't know, honestly. We don't know if there's a minutes clause, if there's a number of starts clause. Gerard even said something about his production. We don't know at this point. We don't know what's in there that's maybe a trigger or not a trigger.
Yeah, and I can't mention it in the offseason. I don't know if you remember, but it was something along the lines of there is some kind of trigger and that he needed to prove himself for them to trigger that option.
Right.
I don't know. It can't be a minutes or a starts, right? Or he doesn't start or get minutes. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what it is? I mean, I had heard separately that they had given him goals and assists that he needed to reach by the time his loan was up, or they weren't going to keep him. When it comes to, and Fly mentions we don't have enough TAM to buy him down this summer, can always.
Well,
Camo,
again, Camo not being in the lineup again, he was a sub. There's something going on there, and we'll see. But yeah, Fly is correct. Today there is not enough TAM to do that, but we're talking July is what we're talking about, and there's going to be if he stays as a TAM, it's predicated on that there's another move.
Yeah, or maybe two. I mean, do you keep 5 center backs? I don't know. That would be interesting. Ryan Morgan brings up essentially Camo and Brighton.
A swap?
I mean, weirder things have happened, right? I mean, I don't foresee that happening, but I mean,
it could be value at least. Well, okay, we don't want to pay $8 million, but we'll give you Camo.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's called the silly season, so
you just never know. Yeah, it's a little okay. That's a little nugget, but I mean, yeah, I like to think about that. I'm again, I want Loca to stay because like I've been that guy's biggest fan for the last year and a half. And today was like it. Today was like, I just remember watching him warm up and just thinking to myself, like, this, he looks in the mood. You hear it all the time for the English commentators. He's in the mood. He wanted a goal from the get-go. And effort's never an issue with him, right? He always busts his ass. But today was just different. Overall, for me, before we get to man of the match, overall for me, again, I'm content. I'm not happy. I'm not mad or disappointed. I think we have to take the first 6 matches as they were. We were really only healthy for 4 of them. I mean, out of the 4, we get a draw, 2 losses, and a win. I mean, in 4 matches, would you have taken 4 points? Probably, from the teams we played: Nashville, Miami, Montreal, and the Rebs. If I'd have given you those 4 and said, we're going to play 4 matches against those guys, and we're going to get 4 points, you would have said, okay, deal. Like 100% deal. Like, yeah, it sucks they lost to Miami. It's probably not the match you would have thought they would have maybe lost. The NYCFC and Orlando City matches, they matter, but they don't. They weren't healthy. It's before the center backs come in.
Yeah, you got to throw those two out.
Yeah, I mean, they
people need to
count.
stop going back. They count because they count on the record, but we didn't
Yeah.
have her. I mean, come on, the New York City FC match. Lucho's out at the last minute. TD's out at the last minute. You throw those two out. I mean, yes, they count in the record book, but that's not where this team was. We didn't have Lucho. We didn't have the new players. You can't keep going back to New York City and Orlando as comparisons.
Yeah. And just real quick before we announce man of the match, to answer Brett Schroetz's question here, can we legally trade with a different league? Yes. Essentially what you would have to do is you'd have to send Loca back to Brighton, and then you would do a player plus fee swap, just like anybody else would. Not sure how that would work within MLS mechanisms, but I do believe MLS does allow that. So yes. And I mean, any other leagues do it. So why MLS wouldn't, I don't know. But man of the match is going to be Kenneth Vermeer. Vermeer had 5 saves on 6 on-target shots. Could he have saved the header? Probably not. Teton probably doesn't save that either. It's just one of those things. It's essentially, it's like a PK for keepers. You just kind of got to guess on headers where they're going to go. Really, Vermeer went the right way. I mean, you're taught as a striker to head the ball in the direction it came from, and he just didn't. So, I mean, it is what it is. But without Vermeer, he kept him in the match in the first half, 100%. With the saves he made, kept him in the match. And, Steven, I know this was your pick, so you talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it was my pick just because, there's a nice picture of him. It's as much as what he did in the first half with the saves, with his positioning, and even in the second half before the goal, I kept remarking to my wife, I said, just look at how he's communicating with his back line and even further people up. And just him and Jack going back, Jack Stern and he were going back and forth the entire match. It's similar to the center back discussion we just had with Cameron and Viacia and a 3 center back set. There's stability. There's something with Vermeer in the net that just makes me comfortable. TT's a great, shot stopper. TT's not great with his positioning. TT's not always great with his feet. TT's not always great with his positioning. TT, you don't know when he's going to be injured. And so there's some confidence that Vermeer just brings. Now, people were very critical of him coming off his line too early or too much. If you watched him today, he made, 6 or 7 times he came off his line. I think
perfect timing
each time, right? He snuffed out things each time. And so there's a leadership quality and factor and a communication quality that he brings as the keeper on this team that we need. And I think that's what we're seeing in these last 2 matches. I do want to just because I just saw Adam's comment too. I thought, he likes to call it the incline. I thought the Bailey was tremendous. I thought the fans were tremendous. Being in the stadium was great. The meet and greet at halftime with the You Ain't Lying guys. Thank you guys for coming down. And it was just wonderful to see you guys, right? To see Rhino and to see Adam and to see Alex and to see Joel. I mean,
surprisingly tall Joel.
Right?
Who does all like the graphics and stuff for us.
Joel's like 6'2". I mean,
yeah, right. Like I thought he was my height.
Right. And Rhino's like 6'4".
Well,
right?
I mean, it's funny. I'm in the line for the bathroom, right?
Too, and I'm like, oh, he's tall. Adam's tall. I mean, you and I are like the shortest guys out there.
Yeah, right. I'm in the line for the bathroom and I got my mask on and I'm just, whatever. And Joel's like, Travis, I'm Joel. And I didn't even know who he was at first. Cause I'm like, Joel's not that tall. And then of course, another guy's like, oh, you're Travis from the podcast. Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Which, guys, for those that like, I had never met you before, you either heard my voice or you just saw me and came and introduced yourself. Thanks. That was really cool. My wife is now not going to take me anywhere because she said people don't care about her anymore. It's only about me. And of course was a joke. So thanks, Jeremy and Mike and Adam for, hollering at me at the match, of course, and others.
Well, Right.
Yeah, it was really
But
cool.
so Travis, so, you mean, I think it was Vermeer, but tell me why you thought it wasn't Vermeer and like Locotti. I know you've talked a bit about Locotti, but give us a couple of reasons why you did think it was. I know you think Vermeer played well, but why wouldn't you call him man of the match?
Because
I think
Locadia
you're okay with him
was,
being man of the match, but
yes, because Locadia was the offense. I mean, at the end of the day, even if he didn't get a shot, they played through him. A lot of times they played him out on the wing on long balls, and he chased them down and made something out of nothing. He had the 2 early on chances. He played really well as a target man today, as he always does. He pressed well. He tracked back defensively to break up a couple of counters. He was in the mood. He was up for it, right? And he was our best offensive player and arguably our best player on the pitch. I get why Vermeer got it. We could have maybe given it to Jeff Cameron again. We could have given it to Yuya Kubo. Could have probably, I don't know about Viacia, because in the first half of the first half, he was not great. Not the best match for Moderita or Jao, but of course it's hard for Moderita when he's getting, the entire defense is just shaded. But yeah, he could have given it to Locadia, Cameron, Vermeer, Kubo. For me, it was just Locadia. It was just, and part of it's because I've pulled for that guy for a year and a half, and we've all waited for that performance. Maybe not the end product, because you wish that the two, it looked like he was just a little bit off. Of course, the left is his weak foot, but just a little off from 2 goals. But the performance is just what you wanted to see. He enthralled the fans. I mean, of course, the Bailey was loud, right? But the fans weren't really loud yet. Locadia gets those 2 chances, and it was like a spark plug. A spark went off, and the fans started to get loud and start to get into the match. And, for me, that just meant a lot. But I do get why Vermeer got it. He got it from the club and from us, and I'm sure others will do it as well. He was really fucking good today, guys. And
so do you think that quiets the
it better.
I don't think it's anti-Vermeer people. I don't think it's anti-Vermeer, but do you think it quiets Stam brought in his Dutch buddy? Why is he starting over TT? Does it quiet that talk at this moment?
It should. I mean, it should. He's given up 2 goals in 2 matches. It 100% should.
Well, how about Stam? Let's go to Stam. Yeah, go ahead. I was going to bring up Stam and get your thoughts about the whole Stam out. What did you think of Stam and subs today and all that kind of stuff?
We'll do about 5 more minutes, and we'll end the after party on Stam. Vermeer, you mentioned it, does one thing that Teton does not do, and it's come off his line, and he did it perfectly today. I get 35-year-old international spot goalkeeper. I get why that's not great. But, I mean, he's played really fucking well. I don't know what else you want me to say. But when it comes to Stam, again, if July 9th comes around and they are still struggling to get to results at home, I'd expect, those 4 matches, I expect 7 points at the very least. I want to see 8. If they don't go into the crew match, and I've told you guys, the summer to the end of the year is kind of my Stam needs results, right? I've always said that. If by the time July 9th rolls around and they're still struggling to get results, if they come out of those 4 matches with 3 points, oh boy, it'll be time to really question if Stam's the right guy. I don't think it'll be time to question Nijkamp, because Nijkamp has signed these players. They have clear quality. It would be at that point where I don't think it would be a manager thing. I think it would be a general manager thing. Steven?
Yeah, unfortunately, I froze there a little bit, so I didn't hear some of that, Travis. So I don't know what my connection, it just kind of froze there for a little bit. But yeah, I think you were talking about it's more of a general manager than a Stam issue, potentially.
No, other way around.
It's other way around. Yeah. So I do think we got to see what the next, 4 to 8 matches are. We've got 4 before Columbus, and then we have 4 in July. So we've got 8 matches before the end of July. If we have only pulled, a win and a tie in those 8 matches, then I can see the pressure really building on Stom.
Yep.
If we are roughly 1 point per game this season, I think Stom is okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the summer. They got to make moves. They got to depart guys if they're going to add, and I think they need to add. So, with that said, guys, thank you guys for joining us. I think we had a pretty decent crowd tonight. I think total, I don't know, 50 people, which is cool. We don't do this for 5 million people. So whatever. So thank you all 50 of you who joined across all the platforms. Maybe it was more, maybe my math is wrong. I was told there'd be no math. Okay. Steven, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear
I can. It's just it came back up. I don't know.
Okay.
We've got an outage.
It's all good. I'll sign off for us. For Steven and myself, thank you so much for the guys that met us at the match at halftime. Thank you so much for the guys that came up to me and introduced yourselves. It was nice meeting you. Look forward to seeing you in the future. Section 111 is the You Ain't Lying unofficial section because a lot of us sit there. And guys, everybody take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy. Fuck Kessler. That's going to be my sign off now because I just don't like that guy.
Well, I didn't get in my Taj Buchanan takes yet. So yeah.
Oh, bleep that guy too. Overrated. All right, guys. Everybody have a good night. If you need anything, please reach out and prost.
Prost. Great seeing